many number of points. So we'll start with creating an API group. That is the basic one. Now, after we have created something, we just think about how we are going to modify it. So we'll try to modify our API group, and when we when we cover these topic, then we'll try to see that this is the most important part. That is the service level agreement. How we are going to apply it into our API groups. Then the further topic is promotion. So basically, how we promote our assets from one environment to another environment. So we'll be trying to promote our API groups, and then you can see the publishing of API groups and on Exchange, and a separate point is public portal. So I just want to stress over here that we might be covering this publishing of API group to Exchange during an initial points only. But this public portal is a very specific point because you won't find this in anywhere in the MuleSoft documentation. So try to catch up this part, and this is very interesting. Then we'll be going towards the deprecation and deleting one of API group. Moving forward, okay. So guys, before I start, I just want to put forward a problem statement that we might face when we have very large number of APIs in our organization. So suppose an organization works in multiple domains, and it has multiple domain specific APIs. And whenever we, as a customer, comes over to them and they want to access those APIs, so they have to like get access to each and every of the every one of the API, and then it's a bit tedious process. You might have been experienced this one as well as in your organization, in your respective projects as well. So if we have an option by which we can club these APIs into a group and or an entity, and then we'll provide that entity to respective consumer, respective customer, so that they can just only need to access that entity, and that's it. They will be able to access all the APIs inside it. So I'll be explaining it according to an example, and here then API groups come into picture. So suppose an organization has an insurance, home insurance API, life insurance, vehicle insurance. Then from loan side, they have home loan, vehicle loan, and personal loan APIs. And from the banking side, they have some savings account API, current account API, and fixed deposit API. And every time when these customers which you see are pretty much confused and don't know that, okay, we have these many APIs on our exchange, which one to pick up? Okay, so they might actually might scratch their heads as well. So how we can resolve their problem is, suppose if we club them into this group. So see, insurance API group covers home insurance API, then life insurance API, then vehicle insurance API. Then if we come to loan API group, then inside that we have home loan API, vehicle loan API, and then a personal loan API. Banking API group has savings account API, current account API, and fixed deposit API. So basically, if a banking customer comes up, he just need to access to the banking API group. Why would he be interested to access loan or insurance API? In this at this moment, you can also consider an example of a third party application which provides certain specific type of services, and they might end up accessing to each and every bank, and might create an API or interface to just provide services to their consumer. So they might be interested in only specific types of AI, not all. So here this API groups provides an feature to just group all those APIs and access it by a single client application. So now initially we saw a problem, we suggested a solution and see how it resolves it. So the third party applications will now would be able to access all the three API groups. So I hope this might have given a bit of an idea that how API group looks. We try to explain it with a problem statement. We'll get into a deep dive session that how we are going to create it over any one platform. But before I go ahead, just tell me guys if I go went a bit fast before explaining this problem, or this pace is good, or do I need to slow a bit?
This is good. This space is good.
Thanks a lot. Just a generic statements regarding what our API groups does, and you can absolutely find this all this information from our MuleSoft documentation. So basically, API groups enables you to bundle your APIs and resources to solve specific user needs. We have already seen that instead of using individual resources and APIs from list, the user can request access to it and use these in a package that solves a specific problem. We solved that problem actually, and each API group can have multiple instances, and each API instance can have multiple API instances. So you might be confused in at this statement, but we'll confirm. We will try to solve this puzzled sentence when we go into our demo. So don't worry about that. We'll handle that. So the last one is these API group instances can exist in different environments such as production and sandbox. So as simple as that, you all might have created APIs. So you can promote it from dev environment. You can go it to test and then prod. So similarly, we can promote the API groups as well. We'll go into that at the later point of presentation. So just be with us. Now, just want to highlight some of the prerequisites. Like before we go into the presentation, you might have some of the idea about API manager and its deployment, how you're going to apply policies to an API, then how you actually create a client application and SLA tiers basically to access an API, and how you're going to create a SLA tier is more important for this whole topic because that is how you're going to limit the number of requests to an API group or API instance. So apart from that, how you're going to handle the assets in anypoint exchange and public portal, and the most important part, that is API group administrator permission. So basically, without this permission, you won't be able to create an API group in API manager. So this permission you can get it from access management. So right now, guys, I don't know how many of you might have seen that in access management, the this whole structure has been changed, and how you're going to give permission to an user and how you're going to handle your business groups. This whole structure has been changed. Just have a look. And for API group, remember this: you need to have an API group administrator permission. So let's move ahead and let's start with the demo. Okay. So guys, before I go ahead, uh, while I'm giving a demo, or when Ketan will be giving his part, you if you have any questions, we can understand you might be getting some questions when in between the presentation. So just put all those in the chat. Don't worry, we'll cover everything. Okay. So uh, after this statement, let's start with the demo. So first we will be creating an API group. So let me switch my screen. Is it visible to all of you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, Manoj.
Okay. So guys, right now I have created four APIs. All of them have been connected to an application which is deployed to a runtime manager. No need to worry about that. How they're connected, you might all be aware with an auto discovery and all that configuration stuff. We are interested that okay, we have our four APIs. We want to create an API group. I have this permission. I have these APIs. Now how I will be creating the API group. So let's go ahead. I'll go to API group. For now, just Okay, okay. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. So first of all, guys, well, if we are trying to manage an API, so we must understand that how we are going to create an API. And so in MuleSoft, if we have this option of Design Center, from here we can create an API specification with a language called in MuleSoft, like for using RAML, or an open API specification as well. So once you create this specification, right now all this you can see this daily cases API, recovered cases API, you can after once you create those specification, you can publish them to Exchange. So suppose I just open this specification, daily cases API. It is a pretty generic one, has only single resource and a pretty generic response. So when we create a specification, okay, so now we have this specification, and we this is a design center look. Those guys who might be seeing this for the first time, just have feel of it. So here you write your code. You can use your fragments from this panel and refer all the stuff and just club it. You can have some libraries, different type of fragments like libraries, examples, data types, and then at the right side, right panel, you have option to see the endpoints, whichever endpoints you create. Like I have created a check daily cases, and I have a method here as get, so I can see a get method. If I create a put method here, so I can see a put method as well. So this is a feel of how your panel, right panel would look like, and how an API actually would give a feel of. And then there's an option of publishing this API to Exchange. So I already told that you must know how to publish your API in Exchange. So this publishing part will actually publish this API as an asset into the Exchange, and it will land up to this page. This is an Exchange page, and you can redirect it from here as well. You can go here and exchange. Then you can see these assets already have been published, and you might also be seeing this API group which we already have published. So right now just forget about it. And this is the API. I have opened the daily cases. So this is the API which we have published. This is its summary. Okay. So now once I have this asset, now I'll go back to my topic, that is handling my asset which is an exchange. Now I have to create an API instance into this API manager. So what I have to do is I have to go to manage API. I have to click on manage API from exchange, and there are many other options as well. So you can see create a new API, import. So basically just want to give you a brief understanding that you can use a new API here. This option can be used to create a new API and just add it and create an instance right away, or you can import an API instance, the API definition specification from a zip file. Okay, so there are three options available. What I did is, and what Ketan did is, we did managed it from Exchange. That's how it should be. That's the whole life cycle. So for creating an API instance, we just have to give the name of the API, or you can see all the APIs which are available in Exchange will pop up. You have to select it. It will give you the information about the asset type, API version. Right now only we have V1 version, and you can also see which API I'm trying to extract. So this is V1 version, asset version, only a single version we have. Basic endpoint, endpoint rate proxy. Proxy is another separate point to discuss. Very interesting one as well. Mule version recommended Mule 4. We have all been switched to Mule 4, but still, if you are working on Mule 3, so you can access it using Mule 3, and it's an optional one. But if you are going to provide this value, so just provide a valid value. Giving a local host will also work. It will just give you information that where its implementation stands, so where it is in the runtime manager. So you need to actually provide the URL of an app which you have deployed in runtime manager. So runtime manager is this option, which you can get it from here. Okay, where we actually deploy our applications, and then you can give an API instance label. Once I save it, I am not going to do that. So I'll get an instance which looks like this. Okay, so this is an API instance which consists of multiple options. I'll just go through it one by one. Alerts, contracts. Alerts are like adding an alert regarding this API. There are multiple types of alerts defined. Okay, so we will be covering contracts in our demo. We will be covering SLA tiers, and of course, we will be covering policies as well. So yeah, I think for now this much information is pretty much enough. So uh, guys, I hope you might have got some idea about API instance.
Hi Manoj, there is one question.
Yeah.
While creating the API manager, there is called as asset type in this, which is of type HTTP or ML or MS. So what is the difference in what case we can use this? Could you please highlight?
Here, this one.
No, you have created a manage API Chrome Exchange.
It's a ramel. It's a ramel.
Sure.
Yeah, just put that link from user documentation. From there, you they can get the idea. Okay, so let's start with creating an API group. So uh, when I click on API group tab on this left panel, there is an option to create an API group and promote from environment. This option will be covered a bit later. Just ignore this API group which we have already created. We'll use it in later part of our presentation. So I'm going to create an API group. Right now I have my API is named as daily cases API, recovered cases API, vaccination count API, and vaccine availability API. So I have for cases I already have an API group, but now I'll cover an API group for vaccination. So I'll give a name for COVID-19 vaccination API group V1 version. That's correct. I'll give a label as dev, then I'll continue. So this is the next screen which comes up. So basically, it gives you an option to add the API instances. Before that, you have the name popped up, you have given the version, you have the instance label. So I'll select my API instances from dev and test. So we'll come to this point later why it is showing for test, but you can see we have two environments available. And when we come on to a topic from for promoting an API group or an API, then we'll cover this one. So maybe right now I'll only select dev. Now I have all these four APIs available. I have already created an API group for cases. So I'll choose vaccination. I'll choose first vaccination count. I'll select the version API. Then I'll add another one. I'll again check environment. I'll select the vaccine availability. I'll select the API instance. That's it. And now I'll hit on save. Before that, just want to give you a brief idea about this option, but I'll just first save it because yeah, now I'll go back to edit. Yeah. So right now my API group has only these two instances for vaccine availability API, vaccine count API. Now, if I want to add, so try to understand this topic. That suppose I am working on a business group and I have access to another business group that is B. I am inside a business group A and we have another business group that is B in my Anypoint platform and I have access to it. So how I what I can do is I can add an API from those business groups as well. Right now we have all these many number of business groups available, and I can add any one of the API available inside them. So once I added my that API from another business group from B, suppose, and I have saved it. Okay, but suppose Ketan don't have access to it. Ketan don't have access to business group B, and if I saved it and I published my API group, like the way we publish our API instances to Exchange. So Ketan won't be able to see that instance in Exchange. So that is the fact that you might be aware that business group are itself an independent entity. So you can see this meetup. Meetup is a business group. There are many others. So business groups are itself are independent entity, and when we publish an API group which contains APIs from another business group, so a person if want to access see an API into the exchange, so he needs to be part of that business group. We won't be covering that topic pretty specifically into this, but I just want to give you an idea about how an ad organization API option works like. Okay, so I have saved my two instances. I'll go back. So till now my API group is in stage of saved. I haven't published it to Exchange. Can't see anything. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. We can do that. Suppose I Yeah. So basically, I have already before starting to create this API group, you can see I got the option to fetch the API from this environment as well. So you should keep this in mind. Then, even though API group is we are creating this API group into dev instance, dev environment, I can also add an API instance from test environment as well as any higher environment. Okay, but that's not the correct way, but we have that option. Okay, but uh, that part I'll cover in when I'll try to modify an API group, when I'll publish the API group, that after I publish the API group to Exchange, how does it look when we are trying to switch the environments. So for now, when we create an API group, yes, we can cover any instance from any other environment. Hope that answers. Oh, okay. Let's move ahead and publish it to Exchange. And before I go ahead, just select this message. Just see this message. Select the API instance you want to include in a API group. That's a very simple message. Looks pretty cool. We can add any instance. Go to cancel, publish to Exchange. One version, publish. That's it. Let's do a refresh. Now we have our vaccination API group in place. First of all, let me just give you a feel of how your API group looks like. Click on it. Simple, normal asset. If you guys might have worked on APIs, so API asset also looks like something similar, but here it comes up with a summary option and number of endpoints which you have. How we are going to handle it? It's exactly the same way the way we have APIs. Now I'll switch to group instances. Okay, here is the part which where I'm interested. Initially, in our problem statement, I was telling you about that. Okay, I have a loan API, bank API. So suppose these are this is my loan API group, and these are my loan APIs. So I have clubbed them. I only need to request access. That's it. I have the whole authority to all the APIs included in this API group. So our problem is solved. Okay. Now, after creating an API group, our next topic is agenda item is to modify an API. Okay. And before that, I just want to show you that these instances actually route you to the individual API instances. This is vaccine count API. This is vaccine availability API. And once you do a request access and using your client application, you will get the access to both of these APIs. Okay. So just want to give you a feel that how these requests right now works. I'll switch my instance to dev API and hit a send. Okay, you are able to get the response. You are able to get the response. Why I showed you this? Because after we go to the SLA tier topic, then these responses will be restricted because we will apply some policies and SLA tiers over it. So we'll come back to that point. Okay, back to the topic, that is modifying. Now, see, I still have the option to edit it. My API group is published to Exchange. I still have the option to edit. Okay, guys, you need to stress at this sentence. See, select which instances from following API versions you want to include in your API group. Okay, you cannot modify the APIs and their versions because the API group version has already been published. To add or remove APIs, create a new API group version, and refer to a documentation. Of course, we have learned from that. So now we are now restricted only to these two APIs: vaccine availability, vaccine count. That's it. Select an API, because initially the option was, yeah, select an environment. Now we are restricted to only these APIs. We can only add instances from these versions v1 v1, and if we create a new API instance for the v1 version, yes, we would be able to add it. If I do it right away, v1, but there is no new version of it, so it's not showing up. So what I'll do is, just a quick thing I'll do, I'll go to API administration. I'll go to manage API from Exchange. I'll go to vaccination count API. It automatically picks up everything. Local host, give the name demo, save. What I'm doing is, for an API of version v1, I have created another instance. So how does it look like in API manager? Is this vaccination count? You can see demo and API. So now I have two instances. So now I'll go back to my API group. I'm going to this API group. Trying to edit it. Now I'll try to add vaccination count API version v1. Now see, I have the option because apart from the normal instance, I have another instance that is demo. So hope this point is clear that once the API group is published, you would be only able to add instances of the same version of the APIs which were initially included. Similarly, I can do it for vaccine availability as well. I won't be doing it, and I will be deleting it as well. So, and the add organization option always goes out. Okay. Hope this is clear. Yes, yes. We will cover that. Yeah, we will
Yeah,
cover that. Yeah, maybe. Okay. So now I would like to give you one more information that in that message you might have seen you need to create a new API group version. So see, when there are two options available on the API group page, API group option, API group instance, API group version. Okay. In API group instance, when I go, so you can see that I'm redirected to the same page here. I'm going to cancel it. I'll try to create a new group version. Oh, it is asking me to give a group version. I'll do v2 instance level. I'll give a demo. Continue. Okay, so now I can actually delete the other previous instances and actually add any of the instances from the cases and recovered cases API. So, in real time scenario, how this option would look like? Suppose right now we have the option to we have this vaccine availability, vaccine count APIs. Okay. Suppose in future I add a API called as vaccine status, and I want that to be part of my API group. So there comes this option. You can create a new version, absolutely cool with the best practices which we follow. We can add the API vaccine status, and that's it. We can publish it and exchange from here. You will actually see the drop down, which will look like V1 version and then V2 version, and then in V2 version you will actually have three APIs. Hope this point is clear. The the difference between API group instance and API group version. Okay. If we, Namish, do we have any new question? Something coming up in the chat? Yes, yes. Yeah. So right now our API group is published. The only option we have is you can add a group instance. Means suppose right now the API group instance is 1.0.0. If I'll add something here, only I only have the option to add any new instance of my existing APIs. Existing APIs. I am stressing on this word. Existing APIs. Vaccine availability, vaccine count. That's it. Nothing else apart from this I can add to this instance. So I already have created. I haven't deleted it. So vaccine count v1. Yeah. So I have created an extra instance called as demo. So I'm able to add it, but only for these two APIs. I won't be doing it. The second option which you have is add a group version. Treat this as a API which you have developed initially with which has 5 endpoints, and now you are trying to deploy it with a new version which has 7 endpoints. So you will change its version to v1 to v2, and suppose you deploy it in publish to exchange. So it would look like it would something look like v1 and v2 with a drop down and then instances. Similarly, here you have an option of add group instance, give a name v2, label demo, continue, and then you can change everything in the API code. Okay. Does that answer this question? Is it clear? Okay. And yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Answer to this is there are. I am again repeating that there are two options: API instance and API version. In API instance, yes, you can only add API instances of the already added APIs. But in API group version option, you can add or delete previous API instances or add new ones. Is it clear now? Great. I hope. Okay. Let's. I'll delete this one. So guys, those guys who might not be aware in for adding or deleting the API instances. Suppose I have added the new instance of an API. I'll click in between anywhere of this instance. I'll see an option of actions. I can delete this instance. For now, I'm not using it. In generic project work, it's not that easy, guys. I am just deleting it in a API instance. It's not that easy. You need to have a pretty larger number of set of permissions from access management, and that's a totally different topic and pretty interesting as well. Okay, so till now we have covered creating an API group, and we have covered modification in an API group. Yes, that's correct. Now let's move on to the very important topic to how we are going to add SLA tiers into an API group. Okay, let's switch back. Before I go ahead, guys, can you just give me an yes or no? How many of you are aware of SLA tiers? Nemish, are we getting any responses? Mhm. Okay, I'll assume that. But why ask this question? Because in this exercise of creating SLA tiers in an API group, you guys will understand what actually SLA tiers are and how you're going to apply it on API group. And I'll also be covering one of the concept why it is important because how you're going to attach an SLA layer in SLA tier into an API instance. So you are covered there, guys. Don't worry. Okay. So how are you going to navigate to SLA tiers? I have clicked on API groups. I clicked on the instance and then I'll click on SLA tiers. There's an option at the left. Okay, there are no SLA tiers. I'll click on SLA tier. I'll give a name as basic. I'll give a description as basic tier and approval and manual. I'll explain this approval and manual thing. What does this actually mean? Continue. Okay, now we are here at the option of applying the SLA tier, and sometimes we don't scroll down, so we miss something. So we are missing this warning. So see this. Limits won't be enforced to these instances until you apply them in SLA based policy. Okay, fair. So, just want to give you an idea about SLA tier. So, basically, if you are defining an SLA tier, so you are restricting your asset once it is going to access from by a client application, and when the client gets the client ID in secret, then you are restricting that client to only access in this API or API group, or the APIs inside API group with a limitation. Okay, and you are going to define those limitations here. What are those limitations? Number of requests, I'll say 2, time period 10, I'll say 15, and time unit I'll say second. So what I am doing is, for my API group, I have two APIs, that is vaccine count, vaccine availability, and what I'm doing is I am applying this SLA tier, and once any consumer accesses that API group, he would only be able to request my both of the APIs two times in 15 seconds. That's what I'm doing. I'm restricting the request. Okay. There are many more concepts coming up, so be attentive, guys, in this SLA tier topic. So I'll save. Okay. Now I'll go back to edit for this warning thing. Okay. What it is is limits won't be enforced for these instances until you apply them in SLA based policy. So what it asks is, so go back, yeah, continue. We have already saved it. Go back to API group. I have these two API instances, V1 and V2 for, sorry, V1 and V1 for count, vaccination count, and vaccine availability. I'll click on it. I'll go to policies. Okay. I'll apply a new policy. So you can see these are the list of policies which we can apply on API and MuleSoft. Many of you might be aware of it. Those guys who are not at all have seen this screen, so they can have a feel of it. There are many policies we have, and you have the different categories as well according to which policies are defined. So I'll suppose I choose security. Okay, so these policies will pop up. I'll choose quality of service. Okay, so these will pop up. I'm interested in this one, quality of service. So my API group was asking me to actually apply this SLA based policy to each and every instance of my APIs. What I'll do is I'll click on this latest version, configure policy. I won't change anything here because this is in generic how we request an API from Postman by providing header values as client ID and client secret, and there are more many options available, clusterizable post headers, methods and resource conditions. You can apply to all methods, you can apply to specific methods. We won't go into that much, so I'll do an apply. So now I have applied a policy, that is rate limiting SLA based policy, that is the only SLA based policy in among our list. So vaccine count API, I have applied to it. So I'll go back to my API group. I'll go back to my instance, SLA tier. I'll try to edit it, and let's see the warning. Okay, vaccine count warning has gone. Now we only have warning for vaccine availability. Hope you are following, guys. So I'll do cancel. Sorry, I have to do continue. Back. I am going again, going back to this vaccine count. We have done vaccine availability. We'll go to, and we'll go to policies. We'll apply any policy. We'll select quality of service, configure policy. Guys, this is the only SLA based policy we have. Just remember that, which comes under the quality of service. And now I'll go back to API groups, go back to my instance. I'll go back to SLA tiers. I'll do edit. See, there is no warning. Okay. So what we have learned? when we create an SLA tier, we are going to apply the number of requests, the way we are going to restrict an access, and the APIs which we have added, those need to have the SLA based policies available to them. That's it. Applied to them. Sorry. So, and just try to read this. Let's read the sentence. Default limits affect all API instances with SLA based policies that don't have individual limits. Okay, individual limits, and you can see a kind of blurred option individual limits here. Okay, so before that, before I show you this option individual thing, so what I'll do is I'll give you guys a quick feel that how our API group instances look like in Exchange. So now we have applied the policy. Okay, now I'll go back, I'll do a refresh, close that, and I'll go back to my vaccination API group. Back to my instances, vaccine count, vaccine availability. Let's see whether now initially we were able to access the endpoint pretty easily. Now I'll switch back to the instance. I'll hit a send. No, it's asking me to provide client ID and secret. So basically, with this option of applying SLA tiers, just keep in mind you are restricting your APIs to a limited number of requests, as well as you are asking a user to provide client ID and secret. That is client. You can the policy which is relevant to this option is client ID enforcement in API manager. So what I'll do is I'll provide my client ID and secret. I've already copied them. So I'll copy it here, text editor. Now I have added those headers. Okay, it was asking you for headers. I'll provide the headers. Okay, why it's not working? Because we have missed one thing. See, my API group. See this. It will cover one more topic. So my API group, there's an option of contracts in my API group. There are no contracts available, and these client ID and secret options are from my application. So basically, what I'll do is I'll do a request access. Initially, we all been talking about that requesting access to multiple APIs, requesting access about the whole group of APIs. So yeah, this is how a consumer will do it. Request access, select group instance. First of all, I'll just do a group details and details and contracts. Yeah, see, there's nothing here. So this is my exchange window. I'll do a request access. I'll select a group instance. Okay, that is dev. I'll select an application. So guys, this is a client application which I have created. So I'll just give you a brief idea that how creating a client application looks like. You need to give an application name, demo, any description, URL, and a OAuth2 redirect URL if you want. But all these three are options are optional. But when you once you create it, so your client application is created with the client ID and secret. I have already created my client application with the normal configuration, that is Meetup app 1. So I'll select the SLA tier. So remember, I have created my SLA tier with the name of basic. It shows me, okay, so you are selecting this one. So it will be available like two requests for 15 seconds. Okay, two requests, 50 seconds. Okay, I'll do a request access. Your request has been received and pending. That's how it will work. When a consumer or a customer would trying to access our organization's API, he has to go through it has to go through a process. Okay, so that process is it has to request us to give access to these APIs, and that request will come back to the API group administrator. He will get an and the emails which are configured with the account, they will get a notification as well. So see, Meetup app 1 is getting a pending approval option here. Okay, either you can reject or approve it as well as delete it. So I'll do a approve. My client application is approved. So what does that mean? Now with these two client ID and secret, I can access these two APIs for 2 times in 15 seconds. It takes some time to actually apply those policies. Let's see whether it has been applied. I'll do a refresh. Yeah. I'll switch to my instance. Okay, I'll apply my client ID and secret. Send a request. Okay, now it's working. I'll send again. It's working. Oh, quota has been exceeded. Why? Two requests only, na? Only two requests in 15 seconds. So it has restricted me to request again until for 15 seconds. So basically, why I switched to this topic is to give you a feel that what this SLA tier means and what this contracts means. So in this SLA tier topic, actually, we have covered a contract topic as well. Okay. Now, what I'll do is I'll go back to my main topic, that is SLA tiers. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was on this sentence. Default limits affect all API instances with SLA based policies that don't have individual limits. Now we have an option of individual limits. What does that mean? My API group has these two instances. Okay. Oh, so this means that apart from adding default SLA limits, that is for all the API instances, I can also apply SLA limits to individual API instances. That's fair. For an API group, API might be we are expecting large number of requests for an API, and for another API, the request count may be a bit lower. So we can accordingly change that. That's fair. So what I can do is I can apply here uh, 3 and then 10. I'll do 15 and seconds. Save. Okay. So you can see all instances one limit, vaccine API one limit, and generally it pops up when you hover over this option, three request, and this is the two request option. I'll again go back to edit. I just want to show you one more message, that is individual limits take precedence over default limits. What does that mean is you might be thinking, "Oh, I have already applied SLA level policy to with this number of requests to both the instances. Now I applied a third one." So this sentence defines that option. Okay. So by this option, what I'll do is for vaccine availability API, now two request 15 seconds is no longer valid. Okay, and it will be only valid to three request 15. So to show you that, what I'll do is I'll just revoke this contract. I'll delete this one and I'll go back again to this page, my exchange page. I'm accessing the APIs, all the APIs through exchange. Request access, my instance, Meetup app one, basic. See, vaccine availability. Precedence is for individual API limits. Three requests 15 seconds, two requests 15 seconds for the default one. Okay, I'll do a request access, close. I'll go back to a refresh to my contract page. I'll approve it. I just forgot. Okay, vaccine availability. We have separate one. So I'll go to this one. Okay. So let's go to our end. Just want to a refresh. Okay, I'll paste my headers again. Text editor. Send. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So there are multiple permutation combinations here. We'll come to that topic. This was a question from Kalyani. Yeah, yeah. So, okay, how many requests I have sent? Yeah. So here, after three requests, this API has been this quota has been exceeded. Okay. So both of these options are working. Now there is another option which we have. I'll show you. It won't come up automatically. So just want to give you one more information that okay, this if apart from this API, you can also add individual API limit to this vaccine count API, but that doesn't make any sense. You might have already understood this that okay, vaccine availability this is individual limit. This is a default limit for both, and individual takes precedence over the default one. I'll go back to my API. Okay, so this one I have applied for SLA vaccine availability. Okay, vaccine availability. I'll go to vaccine count. I'll go to vaccine count V1. Vaccine count V1. I'll go to my policy. Okay, and yeah, okay. We have this SLA tiers. Yeah. So the concept is you can apply SLA tiers to your APIs as well as your API group. Now what I'll do is I'll apply a SLA tier to this individual API trial. Give it a name as trial. Concept is same. If you don't have an API group in place, you can restrict the number of requests using this API SLA tier. So concept is pretty same, and I'll just put the request as 4, and time period is 15, and second and add. Okay, now applied SLA tier. I'll go back to my API group, go to dev, SLA tier, and I'll do a update. So the option which is hidden will pop up now. See this. Copy for vaccination count API. If in individual option vaccination count API, this option is available as for you can copy limits from SLA tiers and API administration level into this API group. They won't automatically update it. So actually, you can copy the limits. That's it. Copy paste. Nothing else. So if I do this, click on this trial. So 415 top SLA tier which we created on individual API for vaccine count, we can copy it from there. I won't be doing it, but just want to show you this option. Okay. So I'll close this one. I'll actually remove this one as well. Dismiss. Okay. Okay. So it is an approved contracts. Let's keep it. So, because otherwise I have to again delete the contract and then I have to then I can only delete it. So basically, SLA tiers when attached to a contract, then you cannot delete the SLA tier. I'll go back. One more thing I just want to show you, it is for vaccine count. Did we have the SLA tier? Yeah, vaccine count contracts. So guys, apart from this SLA tier, I'll just delete it. I hope you understood this concept. I just want to give you an idea about this contracts option over an individual APIs. So see, here we have option of having API instance contracts and group contracts. So you can see this API, vaccine count API, vaccination count API has been added with a V1 group version to our COVID vaccination API group, and its group contract is applied with the Meetup app application. Suppose I create uh, another API group and I access it with any third client application, then it will come up as a list with the second option, that is okay, that COVID-19 new vaccination group with the application name as Meetup app 2. So in individual APIs, you can actually manage it. So it's more specific to developers who handle this API manager and API groups, and you would be able to see that okay, this API is accessed by this application via group contracts. API instance contract is. I'll just go back and close this option. I'll go back. Yeah. So this is my API group. I've shown you that how I'm going to access my APIs using this option. Apart from that, while I was explaining my problem statement, I shown you that right now the problem was we were going to an API, we were requesting access, and then we were selecting the instance, we were selecting the application, and right now this application doesn't have a SLA tier. So okay, leave it. So basically, I have selected the instance, I have selected the application, and SLA tier if it has, I'll select it. I would recommend that when we come back to the public portal, we'll cover it a bit much. But whenever we publish our APIs to public portal instead of Exchange, public portal is like anywhere, any person from the world can see our APIs, and if he has the public portal URL, so at that time you need to apply SLA tier your application to access it as a policy level. Apart from that, otherwise you will the API can be accessed multiple times until unless you have applied some specific level of policy, or or basically the request access will get automatically approved, because that automatic approval option or and the manual approval option can only be switched when you have applied SLA tier to either of the asset, either an API group and either to an API instance. API group, it is much relatable because in API group it is mandatory that okay, well, we are going to apply SLA level tier, so we convert it to manual. So to avoid that, it is recommended to just apply that SLA level tier. So yeah, so where I was, so suppose if I do a request access, I'll do a click on API instance. I'll select my same application. I'll do a request access. My request is automatically approved. No manual approval is required. That's why I told that SLA tiers are required to be applied to if you are going to restrict your approvals or application. There are many other ways to request access to your APIs, but approval, this SLA tier is required, and you can also see the client ID and secret. I'll go back to my page. I'll do a refresh. I am in the API instance. See, API instance contract. Just now there was nothing. Now I have available with I'm there with Meetup app one contract, and group contracts were already available. Okay. So yeah. So this one option I just wanted to show you into the API instances. Okay, I'll take a pause here. I'll just I'll just try to recollect if I have missed anything while trying to explain the SLA tier option. And meanwhile, if Nemish, if we have some other question in place, promotion, yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll come to that question from Mary, right? Yeah, we'll come back to in the next topic. Okay, let me go back to the API group. Let me check vaccination API group. SLATS we have covered pretty much. Contracts we have covered. Okay, SLATS I'll just click on edit. Default individuals. Okay, go back. What I'll do is I'll delete this one. Let's count SLATS. Nothing is there. Contract. Yeah, I'll remove these contracts because I just requested it to show you this option. Revoke API instance contract and delete it. Okay, and we still have the group contract. Okay, so till now at the exchange page, we have published and we have created an API group. We have published it. We have applied SLA tier, and in SLA tier we have applied a default limit, which mostly applies to, I guess, vaccine count and vaccine availability. We have the individual limit, so we have already seen it by requesting the access. So I think we are mostly covered with the initial three agenda topics. That is creation of API group, modification of API group, and then are applying SLA tier. Okay, where is my screen? Just a minute. Yeah, here it is. Yeah. So we are covered with till this part. Uh, Namish, still we don't have any questions, right? Great. So I think on a positive note side that I was able to explain you guys the basic concept about how you are going to create your APIs, publish it to Exchange, and applying SLA level policies. Uh, Basically, now we already have that question that what is the need of promoting the API groups to other environments if you are going to handle it from the generic environment. So basically, that question will be covered in the next subsequent slides. And uh, idea of the next topic is now we've created an API group, added it to our publish to exchange. Now, if we are trying to promote it, we are going to go ahead. Okay, dev environment work is done. We are going to the test environment and then further. Right now we only have test, so we'll be only thinking about test environment. And what I'll do is I'll now hand over the presentation to my team member, that's Ketan Fulkar. He'll take over the presentation from you, and he'll go ahead. So guys, I'll stop my sharing.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Manoj.
Yeah,
Hey
Ketan.
guys. Yeah. Good afternoon. Uh, this hope I'm audible. Okay. I will share my screen.
Yes, Ketan.
Yeah. Let me know once my screen is visible. Yeah.
Yes, Ketan.
So I hope you guys are enjoying this journey. Okay. But there is a lot more to do in this API groups. So let's start with promoting an API group to the different environment. So consider we have two different environments like test and dev. Dev is our active environment and test is a target environment to which we will be promoting our API group. So, so I will show you what all API and API groups are residing in their environment. So these are all the APIs in the API manager, and we also have the API group which is just created by Manoj here. So that's the COVID-19 vaccination API group. So first of all, to promote this vaccination group to the test environment, we will switch to the test environment. That is the target one. Okay. So you can see here, we don't have any API groups as well as API inside the test environment. So before proceeding to promote any API group into the target environment, we should have the underlying assets in the API group should be present in that test environment. Okay. So first we will promote our API instances to this environment. So I will select the source environment here, that is tail. Then I will select the vaccination related APIs, then version and API. Okay. So you can see what all things are including promotion. So all the policies which Manoj has applied, then SLAs and alerts. Okay. So I will just promote my first API. So you can see now the vaccination API is promoted to the test environment. Okay. So I will promote the next API. The same procedure I will follow and will publish this vaccination availability API as well. So you can see now both the APIs are published to the test environment. So all the assets which are residing in the API group are already published to the test environment. Okay. So second step, we will go to the API groups in the target environment, and there is an option here like we can create a separate group, but here we are concentrating on the promoting from the environment. So we will click on this tab and check what the source environment we are required. Currently we have dev environment only, but there can be a lot more like staging, QA and all. So we will select the dev environment here, then API group. As we know, we have two API groups in the dev environment, so we will select which one we want to promote. So I will select the vaccination one, then API group version. So we have the single version for API group only. So we will select the group version, that is V1, and group instance. Okay, so what this group instance means, the dev instance for this API group is getting promoted to the test environment. And there is one checkbox here, import default limits for the existing SLA tiers. So Manoj has already shown you there were two options like individual SLA tiers and default SLA tiers. Okay. So only the default limit will be upgraded here. Okay. So I won't check this option here for demo purpose. I will just promote here. So you can see all the API instances in the dev environment are promoted to this API group. But yes, there we have one option here to change the instance of that particular environment, because we also have the same underlying asset in the test environment as well. So what we will do, we will keep this as a separate, and we will keep the instance as test environment both, and we will select the version. Okay. There are multiple options here like name. Okay, what name? The name will be carried out from the dev environment itself, then version as well, which we have selected while promoting. But yes, we can give the API group instance label in the target environment. Like we can give any, so we will give it like a test here. Okay, so Now you can see I have given the test label as well. Okay. So next thing is what we will save this API group. Okay. So you can see now we have created one API group in the test environment itself, and we have already promoted one API group in the API Anypoint Exchange. So but that is related to dev environment. So I will show you how it looks in the exchange before publishing. So this is the API group which Manoj has just published, and we can see there is a group instances where we have labeled dev here, and only the dev instances are visible now. Okay, so what I will do, I will publish this asset to the Anypoint Exchange. There is a warning like after publishing, you won't be able to modify the group name or version name shown in an API manager. So whatever you want to do, you can do here only. So I will just publish it. So you can see our group instance has been successfully published to Exchange. So I will go to Exchange now. I will refresh. Yeah. You can see now there are two instances available in the Exchange under the same asset. Okay. So we have the dev instances as well as test instance. Okay. But all both instances are lying under the same asset in the Anypoint Exchange. Here. Okay. In the same asset, we can access for both dev as well as test environments. Hope you guys are with me till now.
Yeah, Ketan.
Yeah. Okay. So next thing, what I will do. Uh, Now we have the test instance promoted in this API group. So this was all about promoting an API group from one environment to another environment. Okay. So I will just delete this test instances for the demo purpose, and we'll come back to this later as we want only one instance for this demo purpose. Okay. So I will just delete it. I will delete it from the API manager. I will delete it. So what I have done, I have deleted this API group instance from the test environment. So that was all about promoting the API group from one environment to another environment. So do we have any questions for that? Mhm. Yeah, thanks, Kanish. So, our next topic is like publishing the API group on the exchange and the public portal. So, Manoj has already published our vaccination API group to the exchange. So, I will show how it will be visible on the public portal. So, this is our vaccination group already present in the exchange. Okay, and I will open the public portal and will show you how it looks. So, this is the public portal which it's posted. Okay, and you can see there are no API group here present currently. So I will just publish it directly from the API group exchange and see what will happen. Okay, what will be the effect of that. So select the API group versions to share in your organization public portal. Currently the instance is private. Okay, so we will make it public by clicking it here. And there's a warning like the following underlying API versions are not public. Okay, that is a private country. So first we will do it public as we used to do for the single API asset. So I will directly save it. Okay, and now I will refresh the public portal. So you can see there is a group added over here in the public portal. Okay, I will open it, but you can see there is no group instance available. Okay, so what I will do, I will make API group instance public. So I will go to the API manager. Okay, I will first switch back to my dev environment where from where I am doing this on, and I will go to the groups, the vaccination group. Okay, so first I have shown you now it is not a public instance currently. Okay, in the API groups at the API manager. So what will I do? I will go to the exchange and make it public. Okay, you can see the warning here. The following group instances included in the public version V1 are not public. So we'll first make them public. Yeah. So now I have made them as a public, and we will see what this has changed in the API group in the public portal. So you can see now the group instance appeared, but there are no underlying assets inside the group instance. Okay. So the next thing I will do, I will make this visibility private to the public. Okay, you can see the warning here. All the underlying API instances are private and will not be displayed on the public portal. So whenever we are playing with API groups, we should consider all the warnings. Okay, so this is the warning. You have to make it public on the API's page. So I will directly go to API page or both the APIs and will make it public. So I'm sharing these APIs to public portal now. We'll do the same for the vaccine availability API. So now I have made the private instance public for the individual API and we'll check in the public portal what is the reflection of that in the public portal. Okay. So still there are no public instances to show. Okay. So for this So there are still API instances which are not public. Okay, we have made them public using directly sharing from the exchange. Then we have made the API instance public, but still we don't got our API instances inside our API group in the public portal. So what will be the next step? So next step will be making the API instance in the individual API public. So I will make this API instance public. I don't have to do anything with the test environment. So I will just make the dev environment public here and will refresh. So currently I have made one API as a public. So you can see that one API is public. Same for the another API, that is vaccine availability API, and will refresh. So now you can see we have our API group instance published to the API portal. So we have some dependencies whenever we are publishing our API group to the public portal. So I hope I have covered all the those dependencies. So do you have any questions regarding this API group public portal? Oh,
That's
okay,
true.
I will check it. Just yeah. Mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah. We need to check
Yeah.
for the SLA tiers whenever we are promoting our API group instance.
Yeah. Yeah, just want to add up one more point to Nemish that right now, guys, we are like providing a proper demo, and for demo we have the whole access API group administrator, multiple environments access. But in general, in when we create work on a project, you don't have that much access. Even though you don't have access to delete an application from runtime manager, so that's how you define those access in access management, and you can restrict what a person can do in which environment. Yeah, just want to add that. Yes, 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 go ahead.
Thank you. So that was all about publishing the API to public portal. Okay. You can see the public portal image here. We have published one COVID-19 cases API group to the public portal. Now, what is deprecate and delete the API group? So anyone can tell me what is deprecate in chat, or if not, I will explain. I will explain, not an
Yes,
issue.
Ethan, go ahead.
Yeah. So suppose we have two versions for a particular API, and we want to move to the newer version and want to keep older version in the exchange for the reference. So what we can do, we can deprecate the older version. But older version, when we deprecate any older version, no new contract will be accepted for that, and we cannot access that API. Okay, so it will be just for our reference. So once we deprecate any asset from the exchange or an API manager, we can view it, but we cannot access it. That is the significance, like we can see what deprecate means. Okay. So when we want to deprecate any API group, there are two ways to deprecate any API group. One is from the endpoint exchange and second is from the API manager. First, I will go with the endpoint exchange. We have the option here in the three dots, like deprecate the measure. So it will ask me, do you want to deprecate the API group? So I will say yes. See, now whenever we are deprecating any asset or any API group from the exchange, it will show like this version has deprecated, but it will show like you can still request an access. So the asset is not completely deprecated from the endpoint itself. So we can still access it. But how we will completely deprecate our any API group? So the answer is API manager. So we will go to our API manager. We will go to our required group like COVID-19 vaccination API group, which we have already deprecated from the exchange. There is an option here in the deprecate and delete. So what we will do, we will deprecate it from the API manager. So you can see there is a tag created here. This API group is deprecated. And what we will see, just concentrate on this tab. This version is deprecated and the request access tab. Okay, I will just refresh it. What will happen to that? You can see the version is still deprecated, but the request access tab is not there. We have options like for revert deprecation, but if you still apply, you won't be able to access it. It will show you deprecate only. Okay. So when you are deprecating any asset from the API manager, you can't access it later on. So that will be the complete deprecation for any API group. Now you can see this API group is completely deprecated from Anypoint Exchange as well and API manager as well. We will see this, we can see this API group in the Anypoint Exchange, but we cannot request access what I have said earlier. I will move to our presentation slide. So we have deprecate and delete the API group. Delete is same like whenever we want to delete any asset from the API Anypoint Exchange, it will be same as that. But there are some underlying assets which are depends on which restricts us from deleting any API or API group. So we cannot delete it. So if you want to delete any API or API group, first we have to delete all the API group instances as well as the contracts associated with that API group or any API. First, I will show what warning it will show if I am directly going to delete an API from the exchange. You can see there is one contract here in the COVID-19 vaccination group, so it won't be allowing me to delete. Retry or delete measure, but yeah, this is the warning I'm getting. Asset version cannot be deleted because group instances in the API manager depends on it. Now delete the group instances in the API manager and delete this asset version. So I will go to the API manager as per instructed. You can see I need to delete the asset version. the group API instances from the API manager. I will try to delete this API. See, group instances cannot be deleted because it still has active contracts. Okay. So what we have to do, we have to disable these contracts like remove and delete, and then only we can delete the API group. We have one more API group created which don't have contracts. I will show how to delete that API group. We have already created one COVID-19 cases API group. Can show you there are no contracts associated with it, so we can delete it directly from the API manager. There we go. This is same published in the Anypoint Exchange app as well. I will try to delete it. Now you can see the API group is deleted. We will see what is the effect of that in the Anypoint Exchange. You can see the COVID-19 cases API group is still in the exchange, but you cannot access it. Okay, it is deprecated because we have already deleted that. So we can keep it as it is if we require for any reference, or we can delete it. But this time it won't be showing us any warning, and we can delete this asset. See, yeah. Hmm. No. See, there are two ways. So if you are doing deprecation from the Anypoint exchange, you can still request for access. But if you are doing it from the API manager, so it will be completely deprecated, and you can't revert that deprecation unless and until you change the setting from the API manager. So consumer won't be able to access that asset. That answers your question. Yeah, should be. Can you see the contracts in the API group tab? Yes, we can see. In the API manager, we can see those contracts. We directly go to the vaccination group. You can see there is one contract here which is present, and we can see that in the API groups tab. Just undeprecate this API group. Who were using those API groups. Yeah, we can see that. For that, we want to have the administrative rights. Okay. Manoj, can you show them how we can see the existing consumers?
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Let's do that. Let me share my screen.
Mhm.
Uh, is it visible? Okay. So I guess let me just repeat what Shubhi is trying to ask. So I'll open this exchange. Okay, I'll go to vaccination API group. Okay, so this group instance request access is still there, means this group version has been deprecated here, but we are still able to request access, means uh, we were we haven't deprecated it from API manager. So I'll deprecate it from API manager. I have deprecated it. So I'll do a refresh. Now a new user cannot access it, but the question is, I have these contracts available using this Meetup app which we have created. Whether I am able to access this API group or the respective APIs using these contracts. So basically, I'll okay. So this sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's this icon goes by, it doesn't show up. So let's go and check it. Group instances, it is deprecated. Okay, I'll do a refresh also. Initially, this asset was deprecated. Now this instance is deprecated. I go to any of the API, check, select have instance, test editor. Subi, does that answer your question? Because we haven't followed a proper process to deprecate an API. So basically, if you are providing a new version, if you are deprecating it, so these contracts has to be removed. And once the consumer sees it, oh, this uh, version has been deprecated, but I have access to it. But the person or the customer won't be able to access the newer features, newer APIs. So ideally, we'll remove those contracts. So this whole process looks pretty simple when we show it in our demo and explain it in a very simple way. But this process goes through a full life cycle. Okay, we have deprecated. We are going to deprecate this version of an API group. Okay, that's a big thing, because now the people who have already access to this API group should be restricted, and they should move to the new API group, and that has to be a smooth process. That has to be a gradual process. Okay, so right now we have shown it pretty in a simple way, but ideally we should remove the contracts and ask them to access the new API group. And for your question, the access is still there for our client app. That's true. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. Uh, okay. So okay, guys. So we are done with deprecate and delete. Uh, that's all for today, guys. So basically, we have explained the whole life cycle of an API group, how we are going to access, create it, modify it, add SLA tiers, do multiple permutation combination, then promotion we have covered. We had a very good discussion in the chat as well. Thanks a lot, Mary, for bringing that up. And then we had this uh, deprecation and deletion. And then at last, we would like to thank you all and for attending this. Just want to ask you guys, we have answered many of your questions, but If there are any, just please go unmute yourself and you can ask one by one, or just you can put that in the chat. I haven't heard a beep sound yet. Maybe that
I'm tracking the chat. No questions. Though.
was a mobile, right?
Okay. There's a one request from Bhajan. Can you guys share
Can you
URL?
guys please?
So
Yeah, the recorded session. I think you guys are recording.
yeah,
Cool. So how we will get that? So by
the
email or how
recording
will
and
we?
URL after the meetup.
Cool. Oh, perfect. Good. Thank you.
Okay, so Nemish, shall I stop sharing then? Can take over. Yes,
Over to you.
clearly other
Yeah,
guys
so
might be waiting for it.
stop the recording, Namish, before we start the video.